Welcome. What it is. This is nothing but a dangerous podcast.
Nope.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ian Alley Seals. I'm your host of this Another Dangerous podcast here with my fearless co-host compatriots. How you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah. Hey, doing good?
All right. I'm here with
Feeling
Nick,
good?
John. I'm here with Jules. Nick, how you doing, bud?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. Another day, another terrible movie, another horrible life experience that I've gone through and relived. But I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking. John, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Fully vaxxed.
Hey!
So ready to party. Ready to hit the streets. There's Jason.
Whoa!
Hey.
Here. So, and Jason, how you doing, man? Welcome to the party.
I'm feeling great. I started a new workout class. Feels good.
Excellent. Getting strong.
Yep.
Getting tough. Right.
Definitely.
Excellent. And Jules, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, but I have not started a exercise class. So
Okay. Well,
you know,
you haven't started up kickboxing yet?
no.
Okay.
We tried.
Cross training.
My wife is in the background, and she just wants the world to know that Jules is into Zumba, and has been from the get-go. Like when
That's
nobody knew,
obvious. That goes without saying.
yeah, when nobody knew what Zumba was, when they thought it was.
Jules, you love Zumba.
I cannot lie.
He is Mr. Zumba.
Like
That's what they call him
for
in
a
Hartford.
while, everyone would ask Jules, "So, like, what are you about?" And he'd be like, "I live, sleep, and dream Zoom."
Somebody tell me, what is Zumba?
Zumba, really?
Yeah.
To my knowledge,
No, come on. Don't everybody act like.
Zumba.
We've heard the word, but we're just all pretending like, yeah.
I know what it is. I mean, Jason, you know what Zumba is, right? Jason, back me up here. You know what Zumba is, right?
Yeah, it's like calisthenics kind of a workout. There's no gym equipment. It's just gravity in your body.
Exactly what Jason just said. Exactly. My understanding.
It's push-ups.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. It's modern jazzercise. That's kind of what it is.
Is it?
Modern jazzercise, I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
Which I'm going to do a plug for a thing that I feel no allegiance to at all. Brie Larson is going to be starring in, I believe, a Netflix series about jazzercise.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
They really have Netflix about everything, don't they?
Yeah, or it might be.
That's
It might be Apple Plus. I don't know, but like,
I wonder what it takes to be turned down by Netflix. You probably
A
have
lot.
to make a Neil Breen movie.
Mhm.
No, he'll be on there someday. You'd have to, like, I don't know, like, I do something personal to the CEO of Netflix.
Yeah.
Call his wife fat and ugly or something. That's how you get a show.
So we're assuming
That's
it's not
about the
too.
only thing.
We're assuming it's not too late. We can get in on the Netflix money. We'll just
I would love
come up
to.
with it. Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
love
but,
to,
yeah.
because as anyone, if you are a frequenter of this podcast, you know we're making a movie. Like, all we do week in, week out is rip apart movies, but we have our own film that we've been working on for nigh on 15 years. For a few years now, we've been working on it.
And it's a short film,
It is a action and
not a full length.
car race film called The Stolen Mile, and our weekly update. Jules and I were editing again last night. Jules, what's your update?
The update is, I think that the footage looks great. It really does.
It's looking pretty good. It's
Yeah.
looking good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's one of those things of, like, when we look at the raw footage, I'm like, well, this was a waste of 30 years right here. All the time that we've been doing. But then once you actually get into the editing, it looks fairly decent. Now, we are going to feature this film on a dangerous podcast and completely rip it apart, right? That's the plan.
I always figured someone else is going to start a movie podcast and dangerous and not like some other kind of dangerous podcast sort of thing. And Stolen Mile would end up on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that the real plan is to get Lou Diamond Phillips to come
Right.
here. And,
Right.
and
That-
rip
Lou
all
Diamond
over
Phillips
it.
and Neil
Lou
Breen are going
Diamond
to start a
Phillips started a
podcast.
movie podcast, and his first one is Stolen Mile.
There you go. Like, here's the funny thing, John. Like, I don't think Neil Breen would dignify us, but I have like a striking suspicion that Lou Diamond Phillips would. Like, if we just said, "Hey, listen, we have a podcast where we've been making fun of you for the last like 2 years, but we've made a movie. Would you like to come and really take us to task?" I kind of think Lou Diamond would. So, who's going to
Yeah.
email him? Who's got his email address?
He's on Twitter.
Okay, everybody on the
That's
internet,
right.
if
Mhm.
you have Lou Diamond Phillips' contact information, just kind of, throw it up the flagpole. Like, see what he says. But yeah, actually,
We do that.
I am pretty proud of what we did last night. The editing is going well. I can't wait for you guys who've been working on the movie to see it, and for everyone to see it, hopefully at the end of the summer. So yeah, that's our update. That's our update there. But we're not here to talk about the Stolen Mile. Not today.
What? We're not.
No, Nick, we're not. We're here to see a film that Jules brought us. He chose this, and I have some choice words for him about this. Jules, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Nothing But Trouble from 1991.
1991, Nothing But Trouble. Was it directed by Dan Aykroyd?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It's the last movie he ever directed.
Yeah, I have thoughts about this. Like, I'd like to know. I'm glad you brought this film because this film has a personal connection to me, and that personal connection is I despise it and it traumatized me. Like it really did. It really did. Like it. I
Was
had
it the penis nose?
maybe no. It's everything about this movie. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to that. But like, I watched this movie on VHS, rented. We paid money to watch it, and I sat through the whole thing, and I was just terrified by the end of it. And I wasn't a little kid. Like I was probably 10 or 11 at this point when I saw this.
How can you be terrified by the Digital Underground? Come
I
on.
am not. God,
You know why?
hold on.
Yeah,
hold on.
I know why. Because
Why?
Tupac Shakur was in it. Shoot your
Nick,
ass.
I'm going to bring this up. That was the one pleasant experience I had in this film because I'm a pretty huge Shock G fan and I'm a pretty huge Digital Underground fan. And these last few weeks have been pretty sad for me. Like, I've been.
Is that why you picked this movie, Jules?
That's exactly no. It was like literally the only reason I had to think of this film was when I'm like, oh, digital. I'm like, wait, they were in that. What the hell was that? And then I looked it up, and then, yeah.
Like,
I gotta say, I gotta say, I was really surprised to see them in this movie. I was shocked. I was shocked by Shock G when he was.
Yeah, and in retrospect, I'm not, and I'm going to explain why when we get to it. But yeah, Jewel, like on one hand, this is going to be a Cop Rock thing for me. I hate this movie. I hate it a lot more than Cop Rock, but I find it fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating why this movie exists, how it even is in this world, and it's totally of its time. It could never be made today. But let's get to this. So this movie is
Unless we sell it to Netflix, then maybe we can make it.
So, first of all, this movie has, I would say, the largest star power quotient of any movie we've done so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, you could
Very
say
good point.
that Rollerball had
Superman 4.
No, they were like, okay, Superman 4, but that's people at the end of their careers, kind of.
Wait,
Like,
wait. Superman 4? The Richard Pryor movie?
No, that's
No,
three.
that's 3.
Or the Quest for Peace.
Oh, yeah, okay. Quest for
Like,
Peace. That's right.
This is not Christopher Reeves at the height of his career. It's not Gene Hackman at the height of his career. It does have some star power in it, but it's like almost residual star power from
1990 Demi Moore?
So no, I'm talking about Superman. Then you've
Oh.
got Rollerball. You've got James Caan in it, but like, there's no other real stars in that movie, not to my knowledge. I think the closest we would have come was Mystery Date with a young Ethan Hawke. Like that's
Right, that doesn't count.
and my personal friend B.D. Wong, and that doesn't really count. This movie has, let's name it right here, right off the bat, Chevy Chase in, if not height of Chevy Chase's career, he's still eminently bankable. At this, like he's young, he's good looking, he's still Chevy Chase. You've got
still had National Lampoon movies to come after that one too.
yeah, you've got Demi Moore at the height of Demi Moore.
In my opinion, the best work he did was Modern Problems. But hey,
Okay. But you've got Demi Moore. Would we agree this is kind of the height of Demi Moore right now?
Yeah.
Like she is at the
What year did Ghost come out? Wasn't that kind of like a couple of years around this, like late '80s?
Yeah. When
The
did-
year of her, I think it's a previous film.
yeah,
I think.
like, this is right at this is the best her career is ever going to be, is right now. You got Dan Aykroyd, who's obviously spearheading the film. You've got John Candy. These people cost money, and they are really big names. It's the highest profile film, at least of actors, that we've ever talked about in this show. And it is, I'm going to say, the oddest, weirdest, most perplexing film we've watched.
Yeah.
Can
You think
you guys back me up on this?
the weirdest? No.
Oh God, I don't know, man. Like, all right, what's weirder? Neil Breen, obviously. Like, I wouldn't say Amanda in the Alien is weirder. It's just bad. Like, Amanda in the Alien is guileless. Like, it's not even particularly weird. I mean, I guess Dead Weekend is.
Not
Is-
Amanda and the Alien, but what was that other one by the same people who did Amanda
Dead
and the
Weekend.
Alien?
Dead Weekend. I mean, Dead
Dead
Weekend.
Weekend. That might have been weirder.
I guess. But all right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's jump right into this. This film is could we say, a horror comedy? I
I think
don't
that's
know
what it was
what the-
trying to be.
no,
That was what it was trying to be.
Nick, how would you define Nothing But Trouble as a genre? What would you say?
comedy.
Just straight up comedy. That's
Straight up comedy.
Maybe horror
But
comedy.
wait. For its time, for its era, when it came out, it thought it was a horror comedy.
Slapstick.
okay.
Really?
It is
Okay.
slapstick. And I'll tell you why. One, anytime you have anything that runs through a wall leaving a body impression, like Three Stooges, you're not going for horror. Okay?
Spoiler alert, Nick.
You're not
man.
wrong.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, all right, we're just going to say it is a comedy. Can we say it is a grotesquerie? That
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. Made another Dan Aykroyd movie, Ghostbusters. Was that a horror comedy?
yes, absolutely. Ghostbusters was completely a horror comedy.
Then this was a horror comedy.
No. Because Mr. Bone Ripper or Mr. Bone Ripper, the outlandish responses to everything, it was just not in line with horror.
Let's also
Every-
remember.
Got to that point.
Okay, we're being vague and we haven't even talked about the movie, but I do want to
Yeah.
talk about a Ghostbusters connection pretty soon. So, all right, the movie starts with Chevy Chase. He's a high-powered man of finance. What's the term?
I think he's a writer and he writes
a
about
financial. What
Yeah,
is-
yeah, he has a financial newsletter or something, and yeah.
but he references it all the time. He is a financial like author or something. There's a
Right.
term he uses and I don't remember what it is. But
I don't remember.
so Chevy Chase, he's world weary, he's decadently rich. He pulls up to his Manhattan apartment building, and the doorman says, "Oh, Chris. His name's Chris, right? Am I remembering things correctly? Yeah, his name's Chris. Hey, Chris, welcome back. Welcome back. You're here for the party? Oh, yeah. Whose party? Your party. Oh, great. So he goes in, And he obviously is bored with life. He's bored with his occupation. He's bored with the rich people that are fawning over him all the time. He goes into his apartment building. He's ditching people, and he's about to get into an elevator to go up to his apartment when both Taylor Negron and Bertilla Damas, who are outlandish South American socialites, they're running. They're like, Chris, wait. And he just lets the elevator close. And, he doesn't want to be with these people. And so he's in an elevator now with the glamorous and gorgeous Demi Moore. And I'd forgotten just how kind of resplendent Demi Moore was at that point. Like, she was just had a charisma that you couldn't bottle. Like, no matter what, she's there. And so they're in the.
She was good. No, I was thinking that too when I was watching this movie. I was just like, yeah, she's better in this movie than she is in a lot of movies. You just see the talent in her, even in the shitty movie. I think you could see actors better in shitty movies than you can see in good movies, if that makes any sense.
Sure. And so
she didn't make the movie any more enjoyable.
No,
but it was like, yeah, she's a good actress.
It's kind of this thing, like you when you go back to a film of this time period, of this exact moment, you're like, oh yeah, Demi Moore, biggest star in the world at this point. I understand why. So they're in the elevator, and we do some exposition here where Chevy Chase is he's checking her out, and she's got dogs with her, and papers and a toaster or espresso machine or something. And so Chevy Chase is like, let me carry some of this stuff. And then she just kind of starts sobbing. And he's like, oh, they're there. Listen, I have a party going on in a penthouse. Why don't you come up for a drink? And then she notices his financial newsletter. This gets really complicated.
None of it made any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. She notices his financial newsletter.
I'm not a financier. I am not a lawyer. But I have enough of that knowledge to get myself through a movie of this caliber. You know what I mean? I don't have to go to Harvard Business School to understand what's going on with Chevy Chase's financial newsletter. That's the way it should be, at least. Yeah. Nothing was making any sense, because then they're talking at the party, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And
this is my knowledge. She sees the name of. She sees a name linked to a land deal that is going to happen, and she loses her shit. She's like, oh my God, this land deal? Oh no. And she runs out of the elevator, and Chevy Chase is calling after her. And he says, hey, listen, upstairs, penthouse, if you want to have a drink. Also, thanks for the coffee machine and this bag of shit, because she had a bag because she was walking her dogs. I'm going to say this right now. I'm not the biggest Chevy Chase fan in the world. I'm not. Even at his best, I'm not the biggest Chevy Chase fan. But I respect him. And, Caddyshack era, I know he's funny. I know why he's one of the classics. I've never disliked his shtick more than in this movie.
That's one of his one-liners. It was beaming, right.
That he spouts off his little.
I was questioning if I ever found him funny. The jokes were shit. It was they were just these stupid, they were so pretentious, and he's just dropping crappy one-liners.
Yeah, it just does not work, and I maybe it's just me. I had no patience for it. But I would say the best of them is she leaves and she's left her stuff with him, and he says, thanks for the espresso machine and the bag of shit. Like that, I cracked a smile at that line, and that's about the best I can do. So Demi Moore goes into her apartment, and she gets on the phone with, we will assume, her lover's personal assistant. And he's like, let me talk to Don. I don't remember his name, but Don. Let me talk to Don. How did I not know that this land deal is going through? Oh, this isn't about personal business. It doesn't matter that we're dating. This is professional. I'm his lawyer. I should know about this land deal. Hang up. Ooh, all right, we got that? Everybody's on the same page here? Like, Demi Moore had a client that she was representing, that she's banging, who is doing a land deal that she's not part of, and now she's fired from that. I think that's what's going on. All right? Going
Yeah,
once,
that's a weird.
going
Yeah.
twice. Moving on. All right. Demi Moore, then her response is to go up to the party and find Chevy Chase and ask to borrow his car. This is the plan. I don't know why. She seems to be a rich
They
lawyer.
just. I mean,
You can get
they
a
just.
taxi. Like,
They didn't care. I mean, it was just like they just wanted to start this movie, and how it happened was obviously just not important.
yeah.
It was just like, what is the
It's just-
literally
you just
like
need
the first half a thought that comes
I
out
love
of
how
their
you
head?
put that.
Yeah, but like the first half a thought that comes out of your head about how we're gonna get them to this weird town. That's fine. That's fine.
So
There's a party, and she's a lawyer, and she's sleeping with her client, and there's a land deal, and or what? Eddie has to borrow his car. Makes sense.
yeah. So Chevy Chase asks her what upset you, and she's like, "Oh, Don is doing this land deal," and she says, "Oh," and he says, "Oh yeah, Don's a douchebag, and he makes terrible financial decisions. I wasn't going to go to his seminar." And she's like, "Well, can I borrow your car?" And he's like, "Well, why don't I go with you?" Okay, and they have a little tete-a-tete back and forth about that. And so now they have plans. They're going to be driving to New Jersey tomorrow in his car. Got it. And then the two Brazilian billionaires, or the Brazilianaires, as he calls them, with,
Brazilianaires.
again, Taylor Negron and Bertilla Damas, come up, and they are, just South American caricatures. Oh my God, Chris, are we going for a drive? Are we going for a drive?
Yeah.
I am going to say right now, as much as I really kind of dislike Chevy Chase, Taylor Negron can kind of do no wrong for me. Like this character. I've always loved him.
Really?
God rest his soul. He died in 2015. And I think he wrote a book did he write a book basically saying that I'm the guy that you know and you don't know what from? Like he's, or I think the title is like Life as That Guy or something. And Taylor Negron, he was a stand-up comedian, and he was a bit character player in everything.
I loved The Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy Scout.
The
Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy
Like from
Who is he in The Last Boy Scout?
He's the bad guy.
He was the villain in Last Boy
No
Scout?
shit.
Yeah,
Really?
Mr. Milo.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I personally remember him as like I remember him from Mannequin and Better Off Dead
Yeah,
and
mannequin.
the Bernies. He was a staple of that era. And his performance here should grate on me terribly. It is, first of all, racist, but like in a way that was completely acceptable at that time by everybody. Like, we've already talked about Fisher Stevens and his portrayal of Indian Americans, but like I really love everything Taylor Negron does in this movie. Like I don't know what you guys think. I love the Brazilianaires. I just really do.
Brazilianaires.
The Brazilianaires. I just gotta love.
You gotta love the Brazilianaires.
Yeah, like what did you guys think of this dynamic duo? And they play brother and sister billionaires from Brazil. What do you guys think of those particular characters?
They're entertaining.
It was just such an '80s like throw in. You in every like sort of comedy, like you always have these ridiculous, way over the top characters. And like here they are.
and so they hear the plan. Oh, we're going on a drive. Oh, great, Chris, we want to go with you. We're going to come tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, all right. Now we have it set. Demi Moore, Chevy Chase, and the Brazilianaires are going on a road trip. That's our film. This was established very hastily and haphazard, but we're there now. So the next morning, Chevy Chase goes down to the car garage. The doorman just like pulls up his car at super speed, and it is a pretty nice BMW. Now they talk about this BMW a lot. We've had a number of films in this podcast where the car is supposed to be made a character. And I don't find BMWs particularly exciting. And I didn't know why everyone was drooling over it. Everyone was like, oh my God, look at this Beamer. Look at this Beamer. This is a nice BMW. Am I the only one that was a little nonplussed by this car?
I was more impressed with Demi Moore.
Yeah. So, but here, all right, I'm going to bring up this scene right now. So Chevy Chase, he's hungover. He's been partying all night. He's like, oh, I can't do this. And he tells the doorman, listen. Demi Moore, she just moved in. I don't remember their characters' names, guys. Demi Moore. She just came and she's like, oh yeah, Demi Moore. She lives in like 13B. She's going to come down. Just give her my keys. Tell her have the car with my compliments. And then Demi Moore comes in. The door opens and bow, chicka, wow, wow. They're like the music starts and you're like, oh man, Demi Moore. And she's wearing this white, like sexy business suit. She's looking tight. And of course the doorman and Chevy Chase are like, what? And he's like, give me the keys. And he takes the keys. The one thing I'm going to say about this, she didn't look particularly more glamorous than she did the other night. I don't know. Like, did anyone notice that? They're like, the only thing difference here was the bow chicka wow wow music.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget that they were attempting to sell her character not as a sex symbol, but as an intellectual. Yes. That is mistaken for a sex symbol. Because that's the whole focus of like her character as a whole. She's highly intelligent, but
she's
also
the
very
smart
good
one among all of them.
Yeah.
But still, I guess I'm just saying, like, in the first scene, this was just kind of a meet cute, and now everybody's jaw drops. But she looks exactly the same. I don't know.
Chevy Chase forgot. He forgot. He forgot that she was hot, and then he remembered.
Okay.
A lot more skin, a lot less dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there were a lot less dogs there. She wasn't walking any dogs there. All right, so they get in the car. They're going to leave. They try to ditch the Brazilianaires, but the Brazilianaires find them. And now we're off to the races. Now we're all in the car. The Brazilianaires, they don't like the New Jersey Turnpike. They think it looks ugly. They want to drive through the country. They've packed a picnic lunch. But they want to eat in the car. I don't know. That's what they want to do. And then he's like, I don't know. We're going to get lost. And then Taylor Negron goes, oh, look at this. Look at all of this expensive gear and equipment you have in this car. Like, let's use it. Do you even know how to use this shit? And they're like, all right, fine. And they have a GPS system. Is this science fiction?
There was GPS in the 80s.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For the expensive vehicles.
The GPS was in the 80s, but you only got your latitude and longitude. That was it. You got your latitude and longitude. No map, no nothing else. But I do remember that probably, I guess, about 1991, they had GPS systems where it was like 8 CD-ROMs of maps, and you had to switch them depending on where you were. And then they could take your latitude and longitude and show you where you were on a map. Okay. I think it just happened that second.
Now, I'm going to make a weird connection to a infinitely superior film right now. Not significantly before or after this film was made. I don't remember the year. Jules, you're going to have to tell me. Wim Wenders' Until the End of the World. His German director, one of my favorite directors of all time, science fiction opus Until the End of the World. In the opening of this film, and this is a super future science fiction film taking place in 1999, which was not quaint at that time. 1999 was still nearly 10 years away. And they make this film the future in ways that very few sci-fi films can accomplish. They do it subtly with basic clothing design and little technological advances. And one of those was a car GPS system, where we're all looking at it and we're going, whoa, this is the future. I don't know if we'll ever get that far. Yet in Nothing But Trouble, it's just kind of a thing of the present. So I'm asking, did Wim Wenders just not know that GPS existed? What's going
Well,
on?
no, I know, but I mean, the implication until the end of the world was that like everybody has this. It's not just rich douchebags like Chevy Chase or whatever. It's that everybody has a GPS. But it came out the same year, so 1991. So
whoa! So there's your Wim Wenders Dan Aykroyd connection. Both of them had GPS when it was semi-futuristic. All right. And guys, can you guys admit I'm really burning through plot right here? Like,
Yeah.
Burning through it, man.
Right along.
It's a hearty, chock full of story. We got
it's a meaty soup.
like the town from Deliverance that they drive through, which no offense, but yeah, it was slightly like a decade advanced of actually I think it's the same police car. Same set, probably.
Now, so they then get off the highway in order to get some scenery so the Brazilianaires can have a nice view while they're eating their picnic. And they immediately are driving through, as Nick, how you just said, like the town from Deliverance meets Mad Max. Like it is just garbage strewn everywhere. Like, and not garbage specifically, like scrap,
Rubble.
scrap, cars, machinery, everything. And they're driving through here, and Chevy Chase kind of does a California roll, a rolling stop at a stop sign.
And it's also on fire. It's also one of those towns. It's kind of impressive. Nobody knew about. Everybody on the internet now talks about those towns in West Virginia that are like been on fire for like 50 years, where like the coal under the ground,
coal mine fires.
Yeah, is just burning there, and that's I think what this was supposed to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so they're driving, and they get through the main. And does anyone remember what the name of the town was?
Vulcanvania.
Vulcanvania.
There you go. You got it.
Vulcan or Volca? Vulcavania? Vulcanvania. Got it.
Well, yeah, think of vulcanizing.
Yeah. Or the fire god Vulcan.
Vulcan.
All right. So they're driving through Vulcanvania, and it is pretty scary, and they want to get out of there. They, at some point, Chevy Chase does a California rolling stop at a stop sign, keeps going. But then they're kind of out. Now they're on nice country roads. Everybody's enjoying their picnic, everything. And then a police car starts coming after them. Just kind of normal. Chevy Chase is about to pull over, and the Brazilianaires are like, no, race him. You're in a BMW. Yeah, you can outrace anything. I'm like, really? Like, that's what we think of when we think of BMWs? Like, I don't know.
I think it was strictly true then, and this is back in the day where when you bought a nice car, you were outrunning cops.
Okay, all right. So
I think
basically they egg Chevy Chase on. He's like, I bet you can get this thing to 90. And he's like, 90? I could get this thing to 120. And Demi Moore's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, don't worry about it. We're going for it. And now they're in a race. But like, this is no ordinary cop car. This cop car has got all sorts of switches in it, kind of like Melanie Griffith's car in Cherry 2000. And so clicking a switch, and now there's afterburners happening.
Or a Scion in the Stolen Mile. There's a
Or a
spoiler
Scion.
for
Thank you.
Mhm.
A Scion XB, which is a
XB. Little X, capital B.
Yeah, it's the little XB that could. And we realize this is not any ordinary car. There's all sorts of turbo boost and everything, and now it's a race. And then things get kind of weird. They're like trying to get out of the town and inside the car. And this is all done from POVs, so you're seeing just a hand. You don't know who's doing it. Cop flicks a switch, and then a wall comes up, and they're like, oh, and then they have to avoid the wall, and they're driving through, and then they get pinned in. And out of the car comes the late great John Candy. And again, I have mixed feelings about this film that I hate because I miss John Candy.
Yeah, I was feeling it too. I was like, "Oh man, he was great." And but it was even sadder to see him in the shitty movie.
But like, that's a weird thing about John Candy. That's really a weird thing about John Candy because he's so good, and he's good in everything he does.
Mhm.
But most of what he did was bad movies. Like, listen,
Most of what he did was bad movies.
I'm not going to be one of these purists. Like what was Summer Home? What's the big sailboat racing movie? Is that Nick? Was it Summer Home? Summer Rental.
That was it. Summer
Like
Rental.
that's pretty good. Summer Rental's pretty good. And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is great. I mean, that's a classic.
I like Delirious. I like the movie Delirious.
Oh, Delirious, man.
I like Delirious.
What are you looking for from this movie? I mean, you've got Demi Moore.
You know what I was looking for? I'll tell you what I was looking for.
What were you looking for?
So, in the question, and I just looked this up, but when I was watching this movie, I was like, the question I had was, did this movie come out before or after Ghostbusters?
Oh,
It
way
seemed like it was around the time. It
No, way
was
after.
7 years after.
Yeah.
So, kind of Dan Aykroyd has the reputation for being into the supernatural and doing sort of those.
I don't know if he has a rep yet. Like, not what we
Well-
know now. But
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna keep going. But yes, John, you're
I'm
correct.
saying people. Maybe it didn't reflect in his movies too much, but people who knew him as a person knew he had a great interest in it.
Sure.
And I really think he was trying to this is going to be another type of Ghostbusters. It's going to be with Chevy Chase, but it's going to be like along the lines of Ghostbusters. But man, did this not hit the mark?
Yeah. So now from this point, and I'm gonna try to do what Jules always wants me to do, which is just skip over a bunch of junk and just give the highlights. This is what I'm gonna do. Here's the basic plot. They are pulled over by John Candy, who then says, "Listen, I'm not pulling you over for the speeding, but you didn't stop at the stop sign, and now I have to bring you to the Reeve. He's our local magistrate, and he's going to take care of this." And so they usher the whole gang to this giant weird mansion. When they go inside, and think of this as Disneyland from grotesquerie hell. Like, it is animatronics and weird gadgetry everywhere. Like the judge emerges from the ground or emerges from the floor via hydraulics and presides on their case. He looks at all.
And I also want to add, because I think the audience who hasn't seen this movie isn't going to know, the judge was not in a courtroom. This was in his mansion where he has a courtroom.
Yeah, that's where it is. And
Very good point.
and so there's some exposition that's given here, and the judge is a just utterly disgusting and horrifying prosthetic Dan Aykroyd. I mean, he's covered in just slime and goo and rubber prosthetics everywhere. He's terrifying, and he's got. I mean, it's not exactly a Midwestern or Southern accent. I don't even know what he's doing here, but he's doing something. And here's some things that we learned.
It was an Irish/Southern American accent.
Someone once said about Angelina Jolie in the movie Alexander, about Alexander the Great, that everyone in the movie either has a British or Irish accent, except for Angelina Jolie, who has an accent that does not exist on this world. And this is a weird mashup accent that Dan Aykroyd is having. So some exposition you find here is that this was a town that got swindled by a robber baron to be turned into a coal mine, which totally wiped out the town and destroyed it ecologically, economically, and now it's worth nothing. And John Candy, as the police officer, says, "Listen, these guys are clean. There's no drugs. There's no guns. They just rolled through a stop sign. I suggest we let them go." And then Dan Aykroyd's like, "No, John Candy. When I die and you're the Reeve here, you can do what you want. But until then, just do your job." Okay. And Demi Moore's trying to sweet talk Dan Aykroyd, the Reeve. trying to sweet talk him, just like, oh, this is really interesting, and here's some bits about the law, and I'm really smart. And Dan Aykroyd's eating it, hook, line, and sinker. But then Chevy Chase starts being an asshole. Like, he lights up a cigar in the courtroom, and he's just being a douchebag. And the Reeve is going on and on about stuff, and Chevy Chase is like, enough of this, enough. He's going on and on. Just make us pay a fine and let us leave. And that pisses off Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd's like, well, we're going to have another hearing tomorrow. So good night, Irene. And he clicks a button and a trap door happens. And they all fall into like a ball pit or something.
Yeah, I think it was a big bin full of squeaky toys.
Yeah. Okay.
Like plush animals and stuff.
This is
I
what
have to say that the during the trial, that touch of Demi Moore talking about how the basis of the law there dates to the Magna Carta.
Yeah.
The funniest was just like, wait, really what is happening here? We already saw all the junk and all the machinery and then the squeaky toys and the rest of it, and that makes no sense. But then I'm just like, wait, are you implying they've been here for like thousands of years? I mean, what is even happening? I mean, yeah.
Well, with that, Jules, I am now going to posit my explanation for what this movie is and why this movie is. So I'm going to establish, first of all.
I'm impressed you have one.
I do. Like what the set is. And this is a complicated, expensive, laboriously constructed set.
I know, that's the only thing that's really impressive about this movie was the set.
It is this labyrinthian, Victorian house of horrors that is filled with like steampunk engineering. Like everywhere there's conveyor belts that move stuff and trap doors and traps and roller coasters that lead to a death machine.
And all the buttons, Dobbs and Niles are very analog looking. It's not like computerized or anything.
Yeah, like everywhere you go, somebody pulls a button and then a wall opens up and a train comes out. Well,
the condiments train was my favorite contraption.
Yeah, like all of that. So you've got that, and that is the character of this film. This house with gadgets everywhere. And so I if it please the Vulcanvania court, I state for the record, the reason for this film exists is Dan Aykroyd geek interests. That's the reason for this film. Dan Aykroyd is a history nerd. He is a history and law nerd. So Dan Aykroyd is actually extremely interested in old Shireville law from the Magna Carta. And he wants to talk about that. And he wants to have smart actors talk about it. He is into engineering and gadgetry.
Right.
So he builds this entire set. That is like,
he has Asperger's, right? He has Asperger's. So he has these intense interests.
Yes.
And he has to make movies just so people will fucking talk to him about this.
You got to remember, and John, I'm going to go back to Ghostbusters here, because Ghostbusters was originally written by Dan Aykroyd and John Candy.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yes, and in the original draft, it read a lot. I have the Ghostbusters is my favorite movie of all time, and I have the original draft script. I mean, not the original. I have a copy that Dan Aykroyd and John Candy wrote, and they had to scrap almost the whole thing because it was all an excuse for John Candy to be writing pseudoscience, supernatural mumbo jumbo. I mean,
Dan Aykroyd, you mean? Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Thank you. Like, because he thought it was cool and he thought it was funny, and he, like Dan Aykroyd, he spent like years building up the supernatural world backstory to Ghostbusters. Like, so I'm gonna quote a little bit here. And then in the second rectification of the Voldrani, there came a large and moving torb. Like, that was the entire original script of Ghostbusters. It was, like, I'm trying to remember this guy. He used to have all of this committed to memory. But you know what I'm talking about. All of that like pseudoscience, supernatural, like just what's the word I'm talking for? Like pseudoscience garble. That was all of what the original Ghostbusters script was, and they had to completely rein it in because there were good ideas there.
And like the original Ghostbusters idea, weren't they going to be on like the moon or other planets or something?
The original idea, like now I'm talking about a movie I really like. It was supposed to be that like Ghostbusters were like just total like janitors. Like there are ghosts everywhere, and it's a total blue collar job, and it's just all these Ghostbusters. Like, oh, another day, another ghost. Original Ghostbusters. I mean, it was completely and utterly changed. And Dan Aykroyd was originally going to be in Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd was originally going to be.
You mean John Candy? You're confusing the hell out of us.
I'm sorry.
Wait, are you sure it's John Candy, not John Belushi? Because John Belushi was cast as Bill Murray at
wasn't it?
Yeah. Belushi was originally Venkman.
Yeah.
And he died. And
right.
Bill Murray is Venkman. But John Candy was going to be Louis Tully. He was going to be Sigourney Weaver's neighbor.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a completely different character. He wasn't going to play.
Because Rick Moranis was like, he's the one who wanted to make that character like really an awkward nerd and all that stuff. Like that
John
character.
Candy, exactly. Yeah, that was Rick Moranis' character. Like Ganarso just said, "Damn, Ian, all white people look the same to you, huh?" They're all Dan Aykroyd. But no, the way John Candy was originally going to do Louis Tully was to be this rich, grandiose, effeminate like millionaire with like 3 fluffy dogs on a leash. That was his original character, and Rick Moranis changed it to be the nebbish nerd. So sorry, I'm just completely sidetracked on Ghostbusters. What I'm saying is Ghostbusters was a case where they took John Candy and Dan Aykroyd's script and reined it in and like stripped it down to its bare bones and made it a character study. Nothing but trouble is when you just let Dan Aykroyd do what the fuck he wants. That's what you got. What you get is a weird mansion of animatronic traps, this grotesque set design. It is a disgusting film. This film is disgusting on a visceral level. There is just smeared garbage everywhere, and it's just chaos and piles of bones and rubble.
And the backyard looked like a junkyard. Like there were like toilets and sinks and furniture and just stuff piled up back there.
The front yard looks like a junkyard.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why this film exists. It exists to indulge Dan Aykroyd's weird idiosyncrasies.
But, what you described in the original Ghostbusters sounds all too much like Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
That is a good point.
So we're moving.
Actually, it did occur to me while watching this movie, like, Tim Burton should have directed this movie. This is exactly, you know what I mean? He would have got that. He would have just hit the right tone, which this movie doesn't quite do because it alternates between like cartoon and just like disgusting nonsense. You know what I mean? So it's like the tone. I feel like
they were missing.
Tim Burton at his prime could have probably hit this out of the park.
It was missing claymation. It was missing.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
That's all this is missing, really.
Now, I'm going to talk about one specific scene, and then I'm going to kind of steamroll here. So all of the characters, Demi Moore, Chevy Chase, John Candy's police officer, and it's all a family. It's all kind of like this Texas Chainsaw Massacre family of like the Reeve is the grandfather, and all of the other characters in the town are all his grandchildren. They are all at dinner. They're having dinner and they're sitting around this ornate table. And this is what Jason said. This is the coolest kind of animatronics in the film. is the Reeve clicks a button and a toy train set comes up.
Well,
And
there was like doors. There was like a circular kind of door across the oval table, and it like part of the table went down and like sort of into an opening, and then train tracks and miniature train popped up in its place.
Yeah,
okay.
It was
when
like
I thought about
hidden door on the table.
Yeah, when I thought about like some guy spent like 6 months designing that mechanism. That was insane.
I'll tell you, John Candy did. I'm telling you, John Candy came up with designs for it and gave it to other engineers. But like so much of this is just in John Candy's notebook. I would bet
Dan
straight up money.
Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd!
This,
All white people look the same to me.
this movie broke Ian's brain.
God, sorry.
Speaking of all white people looking the same, was John Candy the same as the daughter?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And then you get into, what is this in that time period of cinema? What is this of comedians playing multiple parts? Like what? I don't get it. It's like Eddie Murphy started it, and then everyone went with it.
Because
So-
Eddie, I think, is the accolades because of it. I think he got so much accolade. Like, you know, it's like when Eddie Murphy was playing like 8 roles in a movie, it was like he's a genius.
Yeah.
And also probably saves a lot of money too.
Tradition. You got to remember, before Eddie Murphy, you got to go back. This was what Jerry Lewis used to do. The multiple roles.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the opportunity to give, expand on your talents as an actor.
Yeah, it's more of a comedy thing than anything else. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nick.
And
So-
then they did an insanely expensive shot of 2 John Candies where they like overlap, which in 1991 that is just burning money. That's just like
Yeah. And we've expressed this, and then we haven't actually even said what it is. John Candy plays. See, I got his name right. John Candy plays the Reeves' granddaughter,
Eldona.
Eldona, who is mute and a mechanic. All right, that's what we got. So, and we can tell right away is making googly eyes at Chevy Chase. Okay, that's what we've set up. Now, the Brazilianaires, they've had enough. And really what does it is there's served sausages. Disgusting looking sausages. And the residents of the town eat them in a gross manner. And the Brazilianaires are done. Taylor Negron and his beautiful sister, they jump out of a window, they swim through a toxic
Well, I want to add something about the window scene. He's like, "Come on, we're out of here," and he grabs her hand and just goes through the window, as if she's totally prepared for that.
Okay. And so they're out the window, they're running from dogs, they go through the toxic waste moat, and then they meet John Candy, Dennis. I think his name is Dennis, the police officer. And he's like, "All right, I got you. We're heading back." They're like, "No, listen, we're billionaires. Come with us. We'll turn your life around." He's like, maybe I will.
It was pretty easy. I mean, for a guy who's like so, like
Yeah.
about the fucking.
So that's one of the. That was just such an interesting choice in the film. Actually, that was just. Like,
and they said
that's not the way movies work. Is that's the where he shows his absolute loyalty that he can't be bought or whatever. Or, that he's too completely worked into the logic of this insane and horrible place. But he's just like, okay, maybe.
And all they said to him was like, "Don't you need a vacation?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, maybe."
Really could.
Let's point out,
How he is.
this story is supposed to be set in New Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
In New
So,
Where the magic happens.
the opportunity to get out of New Jersey
Jersey. Yes.
for a couple
So-
months or the rest of your life.
Without going through every scene, I'm going to set up the structure of the film now. Basically, Demi Moore and Chevy Chase keep getting ushered into weirder and more disgusting sets. They keep running from different traps, and they're separated, they're reunited. That happens for about another 30 minutes. We also establish that normally when trespassers come into the town, the Reeve kills them. They get some real bad people, like some criminals that are drunk and they got cocaine, they got crack, and they're there. And the Reeve,
They get some
Hmm?
Baldwin.
they get a Baldwin. Which Baldwin was that?
It was Stephen Baldwin, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I call him Bubba.
What year did that weekend come out? That was the same
No,
year,
not-
wasn't it?
Who
91.
was the one? Wait, no, it's not.
Jason.
It's not.
Jason, what film are you talking about?
Well, the Baldwins were like infecting Hollywood at that time. They just kept showing up in things.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not Stephen. It was the one that was on Homicide.
No, I know it was a different one. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
Baldwins were all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Bubba Baldwin. Bubba Baldwin.
That's
So then the Reeve clicks another button. Bubba Baldwin and his cronies fall through another trapdoor. They end up in a roller coaster car that goes to Nick. What was the end of it
Mr.
called?
Bone Stripper.
Mr. Bone Stripper, and it's just this like chompy of like metal bits and spikes, and the roller coaster.
Didn't it
dumps
look
all
like
in.
one of those like carnival rides? And it was like a roller coaster, and in the chompy spikes thing looked like a clown face or something like that, and it was like in
Yeah,
its
it was
mouth.
terrifying.
But it was really creepy, like run down rickety roller coaster.
Yep. And so they all get thrown into it and they get chomped to pieces, which spits all the bones out to hit a sheet metal target, which goes gong. All right. We've got that. We've established that they kill a lot of people. At some point in running through this house of horrors, Demi Moore and Chevy Chase, well, one, they fall in love. Okay, let's just go there. They fall in love at some point. They're sitting around there, and Demi Moore is waxing sad about her failed relationship. Chevy Chase is like, yeah, I'm divorced too. Don't worry, you just need to meet the right guy. And then they're making out, and then she passes out drunk. And then they wake up. And so they've fallen in love, all right? And as much as I absolutely love Demi Moore, and I actually did like her in this movie, they had no chemistry. Like Demi Moore and Chevy Chase, I did not.
Chevy Chase doesn't have chemistry with anybody. No.
Didn't
No.
he? Okay, all right. Not even in Fletch?
No.
Okay, all right. So they fall in love and they just keep running from one weird scene to another. We established that Eldora is completely in love with Chevy Chase and is jealous of Demi Moore. They then get split up. Demi Moore falls down a chute and ends up in the scrapyard, where she runs into the two most disgusting things I've ever seen in cinema outside of Eraserhead, which are these Zippy the Pinhead like, all but naked, bulbous fat, covered in slime.
You know what they were right out of, Ian?
What's that?
Garbage Pail Kids.
They were right at, yes!
Right out of Garbage Pail
They
Kids.
were right out of Garbage Pail Kids. You are correct, sir. She meets real life Garbage Pail Kids. And they are named, does anyone remember their names?
They were Bobo and Little Devil,
Bobo and Little Devil.
who are both Dan Aykroyd.
They're both Dan Aykroyd. He chose to do this. He chose to do this.
Okay.
So Bobo and Little Devil, who are not allowed in the house. And they take a liking to pretty Demi Moore. She then tries to run away. Eldora finds her, lifts her up, and horrifically almost throws her into a forge, into like a blast furnace.
No, that was like the tube that goes down into like the burning coal mines. Wasn't it?
That was a pit to hell. Okay.
Yeah.
They establish, and again, this goes to what you were saying, Jules, that this entire town is on top of a burning coal mine that has been burning for like 200 years or something. No. Yeah. Been burning for like 200 years. And Bobo and Little Devil stop Eldora and say, no, we want to play with her. and she silently kind of acquiesces and looks to them and goes, and they're like, we know. Am I the only one that took that to mean horrifically, you cannot forcibly have sex with this woman?
I think
I don't know what else it would mean.
That's how I
Yeah.
read it. That's how I read it, and it was so queasy. It was so queasy. All right, so you got that going on. Then Chevy Chase breaks back into the Reeves office, or no, into his bedroom, and then they have a fight. They have a big old fight, and then he gets the upper hand, and he tells. I'm trying to remember how this goes. He basically says, "Listen, why don't you stay? All will be forgiven if you marry my daughter, or my granddaughter. She is in love with you." And he's like, "What? You mean what? Okay, all right." Now, at that same time, there's a whole another group that's being brought in for, legal trouble, and it is the Digital Underground, headlined by Shockg, aka MC Blowfish, aka Humpty Hump. And here is where I get into another one of my Dan Aykroyd theories. Why does this happen right now? It happens because Dan Aykroyd is a fan of the Digital Underground. Why is Dan Aykroyd a fan of the Digital Underground besides that they are awesome? Is because Dan Aykroyd is a funk fan. He's a funk and blues fan. He's a huge fan.
he's a blues brother.
What's that? He's a blues brother. He is a huge fan of George Clinton, and the Digital Underground essentially picked up where George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic left off. So my theory is Dan Aykroyd really loves the Digital Underground, and he just wanted to freaking have them in the movie. Exhibit B is Blues Brothers 2000. The only point of Blues Brothers 2000 is for him to get all of his favorite jazz and funk musicians in the same room and jam with them. That's the only reason that film exists.
Did you see Tupac Shakur was in the band?
He was at that. Tupac was in the band at that time. And I rest my case. This whole film is for Dan Aykroyd to geek out about things. And I say the Digital Underground is one of them because he could have gotten somebody else. He could have gotten MC Hammer. He could have gotten. He could have gotten Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice is about the same time ripping it up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, he could have gotten a bigger name in hip hop to be in this film, and he chose the Digital Underground because he likes them. Which I got to agree with him. All right, then you get to the wedding scene where.
And this is the moment. I'm sorry. Before you continue, this is the moment when Ian is really shows his cards and shows how he's endeared by this.
I really hate this movie, man.
I
like the
Digital Underground is, and I don't blame you now. I mean, because Shockg just died this week.
Yeah, it's still pretty raw.
I couldn't hate this movie either.
And it's still pretty raw for me. And then Humpty Hump showed up on the screen, and I'm like, oh.
Hey, everybody. Hey, it's me. Yeah, when that happened, it was like, this is my favorite movie ever. Like, that is awesome. I didn't know he was in it. Tupac is there. It's like, holy shit, this is the best.
Dan Aykroyd's jamming on the keyboard with them.
They got these hoes dancing around. This is great.
Wait, was Dan Aykroyd jamming on a keyboard with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It exists. That's why it exists. So he could get to play with the Digital Underground. So anyway, this scene basically, the Reeve forces a shotgun wedding between Eldora.
Well, he lets the Digital Underground go because of their contributions to society, but then said there's something you can help with, and that was for the wedding.
Yeah, and they play a pretty funky Digital Underground wedding march, like they do.
It had a hip hop beat to the wedding, whatever song that is.
Yeah,
at
it
every
was
wedding.
pretty tight. I really kind of want that track. And then, so it ends. They force Dan Aykroyd and John Candy and Chevy Chase to kiss. Which, oh god, I just don't think the gay
Chemistry there.
ages well. I just don't. It's a trope, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, we get it. John Candy's a guy, and Chevy Chase is a guy, and everybody's uncomfortable. I just of all of the things that don't age well, I just wish they had skipped that. But whatever.
It's all shticky stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie is filled with that. Yeah. The whole thing and all these stupid one-liners, which Chevy Chase is just kind of famous for, but they were just all falling flat.
Yeah. And talking about falling flat, what about the one thing Chevy Chase is a real genius at? Where was his physical comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rat falling. Where was his there's this are we all fans of Community? Like, you guys watch Community? They only once in the entire series of Community do they indulge this, but boy do they indulge it. There is this scene in a music room where they're actually writing rap music. Yeah, I think it is Chevy Chase is in a rap battle, a diss war with another rapper or something like that. I don't know. It's how it happened. But he's in there, and then he starts walking, and he trips over a drum, and then he falls into another drum, and then he's got a saxophone on him, and he's falling, and you're like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Like, this is what he is really good at.
And I have a theory that, I think Chevy Chase is such an asshole that we only like him when he's getting hurt.
It is true. That is true. But he's also a really good physical comedian. And he is a master of the pratfall. And he doesn't do one fucking pratfall in this movie. Like, not one. And it's set up for pratfalls. The whole movie is essentially a pratfall.
Remember, he started backing off of the pratfalls because of the pill addiction.
Say that again?
Chevy Chase, he started backing off of his pratfalls towards the end of his Saturday night career because he started developing an addiction to the pain pills that he was taking because he was actually injuring himself in some of the falls.
Oh, well, that makes me feel terrible now.
Don't feel terrible. He's still an asshole.
He deserves it.
Okay.
Yeah, ask any of his co-stars. Even through his whole history, even up till Community, all of the cast members, Glover, what's his name? Donald Glover, man. He was talking about how he was saying racist shit. I mean, he's a horrible guy.
Yeah. So, all right, how do we get through this? Yeah, all right, it's the wedding scene. Now, they kiss. The Digital Underground is leaving, and Chevy Chase goes, "No, wait, stay for the party, stay, please." They're like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. Hey, I was nervous on my wedding night too." Thank you, Humpty Hump. Rest in peace. So, the Digital Underground are gone, and yet things change very quickly. Like, I didn't really understand how this happens. The Reeve kind of pulls Chevy Chase over and goes, "You hurt my daughter's feelings. You hurt her feelings, and blah, 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 blah. And now you're going to die." I'm like, wait, what? Because he was acting weird with the Digital Underground? Is that what it was? Oh, no. So then he drops him, goes through the trap door, ends up in the roller coaster of death, goes to the evil clown of chomping, and he's about to get eaten alive. And when one of the many belts on the Rube Goldbergian looking motor system snaps, the system shuts down. Chevy Chase gets out, runs away. Now Chevy Chase is gone. All of the villains go, and they have Demi Moore, and Eldora has constructed this like giant 4-blade guillotine out of like plowshares, out of like the blades from a snowplow that's lifted up like 40 feet. And so they tie her up. Well, first they get on a big loudspeaker and they tell Chevy Chase, come back, and you have 5 minutes. Come back and trade places. We'll kill you instead of your girlfriend. And so they get Demi Moore on the horn, and she goes, "Run, Chris, run! Save yourself!" All right, she's selfish. And then they tie her up, and they're getting ready to kill her. And Chevy Chase decides, no, we can't do that. And so he comes back, and they're right about to kill Demi Moore. They're on a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chevy Chase lights up an oil barrel, rolls it into a bunch of other oil barrels. There's an explosion. There is chaos ensues. And Demi Moore and Chevy Chase get out. They're able to escape. They jump on like a freight train, and they're out of there. They then go to Washington, D.C., where they talk to the FBI, and they go through this whole big conspiracy theory thing of like, we were here, and there were these traps, and there's this bed, it rotated, blah, 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 and go in there, raid them, and put them in jail. And the FBI agents are like, okay, but this is kind of weird, and we'll need you to come with us. And Chevy Chase is like, no, I'm not going to do that. And Demi Moore's like, no, we can do it together. And they're like, okay, together. So then the FBI with like full force and trucks. What I find is interesting, it looks like an army raiding this compound. And compared to what real FBI raids look like nowadays, it was almost quaint. Like, I think that just I'm making a forced comment on the militarization of police officers at this point.
That scene with all those police cars and trucks and the assault rifles actually reminded me of the police chasing after them in Blues Brothers. It's almost like he rewrote that same bit.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like hundreds of FBI agents are storming this compound. And I really don't think this is how police work works, but they then send Demi Moore and Chevy Chase up to the front of the building to knock on the door. Now, I know what's coming here because we've all seen the movie, but like, I think that Demi Moore and Chevy Chase would say, no, I don't want to do this. But
they volunteered to go out there and get them.
Okay. And so they go up there and they're like, oh, we're going to stick it to the Reeve. We're going to get them. We're going to totally get them. And they knock on the door, and Eldona, thank you. And the Reeve, they come, and they're acting all innocent. They're like, oh, why are you harassing a mute woman and her old grandfather? And they're like, oh, don't you, Chevy is like, don't you pull this. You're going away, old man. He's like, oh, you've gotten yourself into a hornet's nest now, son. Look behind you. And they look behind them, and all the FBI agents are like, hi, Reeve. And I forgot is that at one point Chevy Chase and Demi Moore were up in the attic, and they saw everybody's like thousands of different IDs, like driver's license, along with stories of missing persons, and they realized that they've been murdering people like ne'er-do-wells who come through town for hundreds of years. They murdered Jimmy Hoffa. They murdered a bus full of Hare Krishnas. They murdered a biker gang. Basically, ne'er-do-wells, or what they consider ne'er-do-well, come into town, and then they murder them horribly. All right? And so then we realize this horrific plot that all of the FBI knows about it. And they're like, yeah, well, listen, we really do respect the way the Reeve just takes care of business. He gets stuff done in ways that we can't, but you know too much, so we're going to have to come to an arrangement. And it's made pretty clear that they're going to murder Chevy and Demi when then the town explodes. The town explodes because the fire that's been under the town the whole time just explodes. And
evil has its day.
Yeah, it's Independence Day. They're all falling into hell. Hell just opened up. And they get out, and they find the Beamer that has been stripped. It doesn't have seatbelts. It doesn't have doors anymore. It doesn't have a roof, but they get in there. And it's so, oh, God, why do you even need to do that? Like, earlier on, Demi Moore tried to get in the car, turned it on, didn't work. She's like, no, it doesn't work. And then he says, no, there's a fuel cutoff switch. It's linked to the security system. Why do we need that? Why did you need to? Again, it's because that existed in the BMW, and Dan Aykroyd thought it was cool. That's why it's in there. Or BMW actually paid them a lot of money. I don't know. But they get out. All right. They're gone. They're gone. They've made it out. The town explodes. In the background, we see the house fall into hell. It's done. It's done. You then cut to Brazil, where John Candy's Dennis is looking sharp. He's in a tux. He's got a haircut, and he's with the Brazilianaires, and they are looking hot. They're looking great. And Taylor Negron is like, oh, it was the most exciting week of our life. We got out. We swept through the mountain. It was so exciting. It was so exciting. And you, Dennis, you are, I could never repay you. And you will live out your life in luxury as our new head of security. And his sister goes, and as my lover. And I'm kind of like, oh, this is good for John Candy. All right, I'm glad he made it out. And John Candy's like, and as your head of security, I can assure you no one will ever touch you, or you, my little firecracker. And they walk into the sunset. That's nice. Then you cut to like a hotel room somewhere, and Chevy Chase is reliving nightmares from his experience. And Demi Moore comes in and she's like, oh, Chris, wake up. He's like, oh. She's like, we made it out. It's fine. I'm going to go take a shower. And so Chevy Chase then turns on the TV, and there's this whole big news story about the burning town in New Jersey. And he's like, oh, Demi Moore, you got to come back here. You should check this out. And then the reporter sees somebody shuffling with a blanket over them. And it's the Reeve. It's Dan Aykroyd in his disgusting makeup. And he says, oh, yeah. Oh, first of all, they said that the fire actually, the heat of the fire turned the coal or whatever is there into millions and millions of gallons of crude oil. Which this is where I thought this was going to go. Because Chevy Chase married into the family, he now owns all of that oil.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to go, but it doesn't. Where it goes, oh, yes, the town is burning. We all barely made it out of our lives. And we're going to go to Manhattan and live with my new grandson-in-law. Gonna see you, banker. And he holds up his ID. And then Demi Moore comes out of the shower and she looks. And as Nick said at the very beginning of the podcast, there is a human-sized cutout in the wall that Chevy Chase has run through. Nothing but trouble, everybody. And roll credits. Still took an hour for me to talk about this movie. God. Here we are, everybody. Nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble indeed.
Can we talk about the title? The laziest, most boring.
But also fitting. I mean, it's truth in advertising here, first of all.
Oh, like.
I mean, it wouldn't be. I mean, it's the most accurate title, unless they just wanted to call the movie "Boring Shit." If they can't use "boring shit," nothing but trouble. It's lazy and dumb and pointless, just like the movie. But I want to challenge you a little bit here. I want to do, first of all, any idea how much this movie cost to make?
Okay, hold up. My guess is going to be $20 million.
20?
I'm gonna guess 50.
Jason?
I'm gonna say it's probably like, I'm gonna go in there, I don't know, 20, 30. This set must have cost a lot.
Okay, $30 million. Nick?
You got the big actors in there, they're gonna want big paychecks like they're used to.
Yeah.
The movie's done in 1991. Money was big around then. I'd say 80.
80. Okay. It was
$80
$40 million.
Whoa!
$1, no.
$40 million. Do you know how much? It cost to do Ghostbusters?
I'm going to say Ghostbusters cost $10 million.
Around $25 million.
Dang.
And how much
And that would blew me away, because I was like, so other than the writing, I mean, Ghostbusters just is a far visually better looking movie. Probably all in the directing though, but I was just assuming it was a much bigger budget movie, and it.
Yeah.
isn't. Which
go-
blew
How
me
much
away.
did Nothing But Trouble gross? 10 million?
$8 million.
Gross $8 million. Yeah.
$8 million. Which
Like-
I don't know who the fuck. It came out the weekend actually of Silence of the Lambs. So this
Oh,
movie
no.
had no chance.
So John, I'm going to bring this and I'm not going to be intimidated by you because I am a multifaceted person and I can feel multiple things at the same time. I've hated this movie since the time I saw it. I'm not joking that this movie gave me nightmares. It is deeply offensive to me, not in a like they said racist stuff or anything, but it offends me on like a gut level. I'm like, oh God, I do not want to watch this movie. But what I find interesting, again, I have very much laid my cards on the table that I think this entire movie exists for Dan Aykroyd's idiosyncrasies. That's what I think it is. And what I find fascinating about it is you will never have another movie like that in modern Hollywood.
Well, it's the last movie he directed, and
No
you're right.
one-
It was all about Dan Aykroyd, and I think he got more control. The difference between this and Ghostbusters is I think he had, I think it was laid out with his interest, and then real writers kind of like took it over, or the studio like took control.
And by the way, don't take it away from Dan Aykroyd. Like Dan Aykroyd has his hand on that script till the very end.
I get it, but I think when you give, I think this is a perfect example of Dan Aykroyd unleashed. You give
Well, I
okay, you
noticed
did
in the opening credits, Nothing But Trouble. It said written by Peter Aykroyd.
Oh,
oh.
his son or his brother, or I don't know. But like, yeah.
Well, Dan Aykroyd did the screenplay. The story was by Peter Aykroyd.
Okay. I just don't see, just like, and I bring this back to Cop Rock. That was from this weird period of time where just chaos could reign on television and in Hollywood. And that will never happen again. Nothing like Cop Rock will ever happen again. And nothing like Nothing But Trouble will ever happen again.
Mhm.
Movies cost too much to make now. And Nick, you have something to say.
It will happen again.
Okay.
It will happen again, because saying Nothing Like Cop Rock will happen again is like denying the fact that like High School Musical happened.
Yeah, but here's where here's the difference. Here's the difference. Like High School Musical, I mean, I guess, all right, we'll come back to that analogy. But like, even if you want to go to weird ass junk, like Cats, all right? The new movie of Cats, like that's based on a money-making machine. You want to go movies that are terrible, that are also just like expressions of their director, like go to Michael Bay's Transformers. They're all based on these proven money-making. This was based on nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
No, it was based on the box office of Ghostbusters. That's what it was based off of. Oh, he made a movie that made $300 million. Let's see what else he's got.
I have to say though, it seems like this is based on some sort of formula I can't see.
Well,
It like make movie solve for X, because it's like
I think I know what the.
the appropriate caliber.
Mm-hmm.
Someone with a track record in Hollywood, and basically put in the band that's popular at the time. Like this is almost an all-star cast.
it is.
Like you've got some extras floating around, but like this is like,
You know what? It worked in the Blues Brothers. I mean, isn't that what he did in the Blues Brothers?
yeah, but this
This
is
is Aretha Franklin in the movie.
this is like a dick and fart version of
Yeah, it is.
because that's what the whole thing is run off of, like dick and fart jokes.
I completely see how this movie was made. He made a lot of, he made
Beavis and Butthead outside. It's like
made
popular.
Ghostbusters. Right. They're going to give this guy $40 million to make a movie like completely, you know, just to see what happens.
And you've got Chevy Chase on board. You've got Demi Moore.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Sign the checks. Sign the checks. But
In
like,
terms of Canarso pointed out that this was originally titled Vulcanvania by Dan Aykroyd, but the studio was like, nobody's going to go see Vulcanvania,
Right.
I guess. But it seems to me that the origin story of it is really, really simple. The origin story in my head is the like speed trap towns. Was that like Dan Aykroyd was talking with his brother about these towns where they're in the middle of nowhere and all they do is pull people over to make money. And then they got drunk or they got stoned or whatever it was, and then this happened. That's what it seems to me to be the most likely explanation.
and there are also. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. There is a genealogy to this stuff. There are references. There's influences. 1960s weird bump in the night haunted house movies like
Mhm.
that. There are some weird movies back then that are all about a weird labyrinthian house with traps, and some of them are weird like this. Like there's another one I gotta look up that I saw that really reminded me of this. But I want to read a comment by Ganarso, who just said, the analogy to weird ass junk, as much as I hate to dip into the well-trodden well, is Neil motherfucking Breen. Rich motherfuckers with deep pockets can do what they want without editorial oversight. Dan Aykroyd is just more experienced and talented than Breen, but you're looking at the same phenomenon. Pet projects that don't obey traditional narrative structures of the Hollywood machine. Ganarso, that's a really
Is Neil Breen a rich motherfucker?
Somehow.
he's got that house.
I don't know if he's rich.
And now he is making money off of these movies somehow. I think.
Yeah, you know, because there's people like me out there who like fucking love he's making money out of me. He ain't making that much money. He probably makes his money back and then maybe a little bit on top of that. He ain't making.
Well, what does he spend though? I mean, he doesn't spend any money, so it seems like
actresses.
it's all profit.
Those women that he's like canoodling in those movies, he's got to pay them. They're not.
They're getting
That's a
stacked.
good point.
That's a quick trip to Me Too right now. That's it.
I know. When are they going to Me Too Neil Breen? That's what I want to know. When are they going to get around to him? Somebody's got to stop that guy.
Yeah. So here we have this. This is, and I want to bring this up because I'm going to make a comment that this podcast, the Dangerous Podcast, is not just about terrible movies. All right, it is, and we talk about terrible movies all the time. But there's this kind of weird niche we have where it's not so much about is the film terrible. Is it a curiosity? Is it a forgotten curio of cinema? And this is one of those things. It happens to be terrible. It happens to be disgusting, and I never want to watch it again, except if I want to watch the scene with the Digital Underground, because, damn, that was pretty good. But it is lost from time. And like until Jules said this, no one brings up this movie. No one thinks of this movie. Demi Moore sure doesn't think about this movie.
It's kind of funny. This is almost like a movie that I would pick for this because that was yet another movie that I saw over and over again when I was a kid. I watched a lot with my sister. I told my sister we're doing this movie tonight. She was watching this.
John Ganarso, and by the way, Ganarso, thank you for your comments tonight. And every week your comments are great. I noticed that a lot of our live viewers have dwindled since we've moved recording times, and I apologize for that. You know, we do it late at night or late-ish at night, 9 o'clock, because I have to wait until my son goes to bed. And on Tuesdays, as we said, we're editing The Stolen Mile. So to all of you who are listening at home, sorry that it's inconvenient. But Ganarso, thanks for sticking with us. John, can we get Ganarso's quote up again? The one he just said about Neil Breen. Ganarso said, oh, no, it's the next one.
Or this one.
Yeah. Ganarso says he is referring to that Breen is loaded. Neil Breen is an architect and real estate mogul worth about $6 to $7 million. He blows his money on his films. Oh, and then my bad, he's only worth $2 million now. Well, that's what those films will do to you, man.
Right.
So, any last thoughts on Nothing But Trouble? I've
He's so young looking.
Say that
Huh?
again.
Tupac is so young looking.
He really is young
so
looking.
skinny,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
Tupac is so skinny. And what's he doing with the Yankees jersey if he's from the West Coast and has all that West Coast love? What the fuck is that about?
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
John, do you have any final thoughts?
It was just, I don't know. I think, I just wish Dan Aykroyd had more focus. I think he could have been a really good filmmaker in his own right. I love his ideas and and not that I'm not a huge fan of Joe Rogan. I can't really stand the guy, but he did a really good long interview with Dan Aykroyd and kind of understanding like his mind and everything. I think he's a really fascinating guy, and I always thought like with better direction he could have really done some more better films. But I really think this is just what he is, and it's just an unfocused. God, it's just such. I can't even.
It's a mess.
describe
It's a
it.
mess.
Well, you got to think about this. All right, think about this.
It's the worst of everything. Chevy
But
Chase.
what he wanted to make.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who doesn't want to get to a point in their life where they can just do what they want to do?
Yeah.
I'm just
Kind of
gonna
reminded me of you know what I hate to like compare. You remember that movie Clue?
Oh, Clue's
Yeah.
great, dude.
But this is like a shitty. And Clue is considered really one of the worst movies. I know you like it, but Clue is.
I love Clue. You know,
I didn't think it was bad.
Everybody loves Clue.
Right.
Everybody
What are you
loves
talking
Clue.
about?
No, not everybody loves Clue.
Yeah, this is the guy who thought Rock and Roll High School was gonna be a bad movie. But like,
Well, look who's both up on Rotten.
look up Rotten Tomatoes Clue. Do it right now.
look up Murder by Death.
No,
One thing at a time, guys.
So my final thought of the film
Mhm.
would be Hollywood has moved on. This sort of thing will never happen again. But I have to say deep down that when Hollywood fails, I would rather they did it like this than
Yeah.
whatever it is they're doing now.
I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Jason, any final thoughts?
I actually put in an order to have my dining room table modified for a condiment strain.
Touche. My final thought is, God, I miss John Candy. Like, that's a thing this movie shows is even here how good he is. Like, in this craptastic, weird debacle of a film, he's subtle. John Candy has a subtle performance in this. I mean, he was a master. He was, first of all, he's huge. Like, he's a huge guy, and I don't just mean fat. Like, he's a towering guy. Yet he can come off as soft and sensitive, and just with a glance, with a look of his eyes, with the tilt of his head, the way he carries his frame, he creates a character. And I really think it's great. And I'm sad that is expressed in a lot of really bad movies. So everyone right now, like, go watch Trains, Planes, and Automobiles or Cool Runnings. Like, just
Or
go,
Uncle Buck.
or Uncle Buck,
Or Who's Harry Crumb?
or Who's Harry Crumb?
Who is Harry Crumb, right?
Go do it right now. Like, don't watch what we just watched. Don't do that. But go see one of those movies. And this movie just kind of made me sad for that.
And Shock G.
And Shock G, man.
Tupac. Go listen to some Tupac records and watch some Uncle Buck.
Mhm.
Oh.
And get a condiment strain.
And get a condiments train. All right. So, Nick, I got a question for you. Have you moved on from being our gunslinging, occasional, ancillary guest host to? Are you part of the main cast now?
I don't know. Am I part of the main cast?
We like.
I-
We accept you. We accept you. One of us. Gabba gabba. We.
I realize we're not good enough for you, Nick. But like,
No.
I know
we
you're in
want you
Arizona.
today.
You're
And-
adequate. You're adequate.
Okay, now don't do that. In my whole life, like adequate's what I strive for.
No,
That's my goal. But with that,
don't put the bar too high.
in
Don't
a
put the bar too high. Okay.
yeah, I don't. Now, in a bid to kind of put a ring on it, you know, you got to stay if you're choosing a movie. So, what do you have for us next week, Nick?
For next week, I have it's a goodie and a new one.
Ooh.
Yeah. See,
A new movie?
you can pick on all the old stuff and tear it apart all you want. I mean, there's really you're not using anything there. Old stuff will become bad just by the simple act of time.
Mhm.
You know, techniques will improve, things will get better. Look at something new that's bad.
Oh shit.
So we're gonna go with Knights of Newgate.
Okay. So
Knights of Newgate.
so
Knights of Newgate. I
Knights
was
of
going
Newgate.
to do, Willy's Wonderland, but Knights of
you
Newgate.
went with Knights of Newgate, and he did tell me this before we started broadcasting, and I looked it up. And here's the thing: it's like this movie came out this year in 2021, and not early 2021. I'm talking April. Okay. All right. Listen, it's already free. Like if you have the Amazon Prime,
I was
you
gonna
can already
say,
watch this. It's free.
yeah, I was gonna say, do we have to do we have to pay for this movie?
All of these shitty movies, like they don't have it. Like we're looking for Amanda and the Alien or some of these, and they're the hardest things to find. And Ian, you've ended up paying for like a lot of these.
I paid
This
for a
one,
lot.
it just came out not even a month ago. It's
John,
free.
John, I've got it in my Plex.
Okay.
These guys can use the same Plex. You guys can all just
You want me to
watch.
hook them up with Plex? All right,
I-
I'll hook you guys up with Plex. You guys have heard of Netflix, right?
I have.
All right. Well, this is Nickflix. It's like Netflix, but way awasomer. And I'll hook you guys up.
All right.
half the movies I've ever seen.
So everyone, you heard it here. Next week, Knights of Newgate, fresh
Knights
off
of
the press.
Newgate.
Knights of Newgate. You can watch it free somewhere. So with that, thank you once again for bringing us into your podcast sphere and listening to us talk about the terrible and forgotten films of this, our planet Earth. I'm your host, Ian Alley Seals. I'm here with Nick, John, Jason, and Jules. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Night.
Good night, everybody. Peace.
How do I get out?